Good day, everyone. How are you? Let's see. CJ, good day. Denise, Maria, hello. And Sister Jeannie. Thanks for being here. I got a puffy hair. Time for a haircut before Florida, if we go to Florida. No, that's the plan. Just give me 1 minute. I forgot to wash my hands before Mass. Very important process. It won't take me but a second. I'm very quick at that. It's nice to have a kitchen right there. Poof, and there goes the smoke. All right. So today is February 12th, Wednesday, 2025. And the rumbling continues in the Aegean Sea and in other places around the world. Keep a watch. Keep an eye out. Yeah, people are getting insights all over the place about changes, dramatic changes. So we'll just keep praying our rosary and work to do what we're supposed to be doing. And when Greg comes on, I got a proposition for him. Might make it a little bit easier on myself. Just better for the ordination, I think, if we can work it out. All right, let's get started with Good Day Rising prayers. We're getting close to the end of the credit yourself, or give yourself credit. Really getting to the meat and the potatoes now, and we need to put it into practice in order for it to work. Now, again, my experience has been that, and we'll talk about this in here, is that you can exercise your credit exemption either with a corporation directly or through the IRS. There's, believe it or not, there's less resistance through the IRS if you do it right. Through the corporation, it's what I mean by that is usually a bank or some sort of financing institution or a major corporation. They just don't know what to do with it, and they're very resistant because they don't know how to process these. They don't know how to get their side credited on the books, and so they fight you the whole way. Sometimes you have to go for what's called summary judgment after doing a monthly process of sending them notices, which they are very good at doing. They're very good. Let's say you're behind on your car payment. They will send you a notice, you're behind, or if you don't catch up by a certain date, then, you're in jeopardy of losing your car. And then they send you another notice 30 days later. And then they send you one final notice after that. And then usually they don't give you as much time after the third one. And then what they do is they take those 3 notices, they submit them to the judge for a summary judgment. And because if you didn't respond to those notices in some sort of manner that, let's just say, proves them wrong, then they usually just win, and then they'll get the order to go ahead and collect the car or the money or whatever it is. So they're very familiar with the process, doing it to you. However, they are not very familiar when we do it to them. They just are like shocked because they're like, you can't do this to us. They either ignore you or they return something completely ridiculous, like I had happen yesterday. I had a novation that I had sent out um, which basically is basically converting the original contract or agreement. And they responded to they claimed to respond to the novation because they used the same date as the novation. However, they referred to a letter that I had sent back in December, November. So, and they were totally two different matters. So they really don't even know what they're doing. And the interesting thing was that one was signed, but and so far no other response has been made. So in that case, I would include that letter with my other letters and that I've sent to them when I go for summary judgment and show their incompetence to the judge. It helps your case, okay? Because it's like, all right, they're that incompetent that they can't figure out which letter to respond to, okay? And yet they're demanding that I repay something that's already or should have been credited because they've already been paid for it once with the original promissory note. Now, if I didn't totally confuse you with that, then I don't know. I've been doing this a long time. So I look forward to talking to Mr. Nobody. He said he wanted to give me a call, and I welcome that. I've been meaning to talk with him. It's just that there's just a lot going on, but I always have room for him and and time. And any of you who are regular here, or anybody actually, if you have a question, shoot it. Let's get started with Good Day Rising prayers, and we'll get into a little bit about, we're getting closer to what you actually do, so I can show you what you actually do when you receive a presentment. In nomine Dei, Matronam Nostra, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Most Holy Trinity, and in Catholic contemplation, humbly venerate the Divine Family. Most Holy and Venerable Trinity, one Divine Family, I believe that Thou art here present. I venerate Thee with the deepest humility. I render to Thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to Thee. O Most Holy Trinity, I firmly believe that Thou art one Divine Family, consisting of Dea Matronam Nostra, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. And relying on Thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain pardon of my sins, the help of Thy grace and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Matronam Nostra. O Most Holy Trinity, I love Thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because Thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of Thee, and I forgive all who have injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank the Most Holy Trinity for the many graces that we receive, and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to heaven, and for the souls in purgatory. O Most Holy Trinity, I most humbly thank Thee for all the favors Thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to Thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in Thy service. I consecrate to Thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, that there may be none that is not animated by Thy love, or that would not tend to Thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good. And let us beg of the Most Holy Trinity the graces which are necessary to us. O Most Holy Trinity, Thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of Thy grace. Deny me not Thy grace, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which Thou forbiddest, to practice the good which Thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please Thee to send me. O Dea Matronam Nostrae, I place myself under Thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of Thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O Most Holy Trinity, as envisioned by St. Lucia as the Most Holy Trinitarian Theophany. Deum matronam nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all, because I have offended thee, O most Holy Trinity, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. In nomine Deum matronam nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. Quick note to anybody who's new, it looks like the algorithm is getting spread a little bit, or the algorithm is spreading, whatever the algorithm is. Everybody uses that all the time. What is that? So that we're getting some new viewers, and they're like, I saw a comment I haven't responded to yet, but who is this? It's an interesting question. So if anybody wants to answer them, please feel free to go ahead and look back, and I'm not sure which mass it was yet. But anyway, you have a bond. I have a bond. We each have a bond, a trust fund set up for us upon our birth via our quote-unquote registration of live birth. Somebody had to tell us what our name is, right? You didn't come up with your own name. Our parents were already involved in the public domain. They wanted little no-name to have access to the public benefits they enjoyed that are provided by the public domain. They had to give you a title. Your quote-unquote application for live birth, B-E-R-T-H, assigned a place. Okay, so it was the application of live birth. Before that, I read it was the registration of live birth, B-I-R-T-H, two different things. Your application assigned a place at the dock for you to berth, B-E-R-T-H, your vessel in your port of entry, and a name and footprint, your birthmark, B-E-R-T-H-M-A-R-K, forensic evidence of your arrival in the commercial public domain. A title such as capital J, capital O, capital H, capital N, etc., creates a fiction in the admiralty venue. All vessels or dead people are titled in all caps names, all capital letter names. The one world government has always been here. It has always existed from the beginning of the world. They set up an account and gave it a reference number. I don't know about that. Okay, he's making a statement, but they set up an account and gave it a reference number. Your birth certificate number is material evidence in the commercial domain that you exist. It is a prepaid credit exemption account. Okay, your birth certificate number is material evidence in the commercial domain that you exist. It is a prepaid credit exemption account. All participants in the public domain are pooled into an account that is accessed through the Social Security number. Any interchange for value between people is recorded in a trust that is automatically set up, a foreign situs, S-I-T-U-S, or situs, trust. The one world government is the trustee of the trust, and each individual person is a beneficiary of the trust. It's kind of good to do a little research on trusts, how they work. What role does each title have? So you understand this a little better. A certain sum deemed the value of your life work, say $1 million, is the commercial value of your credit in the commercial domain. Chapter 20, your super sedeas bond. or some people call it the supersedes bond. HJR 192 of June 5th, 1933 is the bond the government uses to recredit the people upon demand because the Roosevelt administration took away the people's gold. HJR 192 is an insurance policy that cancels the execution of debt required by law with the favor of grace. It allows the angel of debt to pass over us for our commercial redemption. I love the way the Protestants write these books. The bond is on the debt side of the ledger of the corporate United States. The bond is the grace that created our exemption from any liability to pay our debts. This is our saving grace. Under grace, the law falls away to create a more perfect union contract. Public policy removes our ability to pay our debts by making all contracts null and void that require payment in substance or more debt. Federal Reserve notes, because there is no substance money to make payment with. A debt has to only be discharged. Okay, that's not the same as being paid. The word pay is equated with silver and gold or something of substance, like a firstborn lamb, which requires an execution of work to remove the liability for the execution of debt that must otherwise take place. You see how they came up with this system, those little hats? The word discharge is equated with credits and debits of commercial paper. You cannot pay a bill with a bill. You cannot pay a debt with a debt. You need a bond to pay a bill. And that's what public policy does. Public policy is the bond that pays our debts. It is a promise to pay all charges that we accept for payment. If a debt exists, the best we can do is to write it off. But that can only be done if we return the bill to its maker via the IRS as our mutual offset credit exemption exchange. Okay, so they send you a presentment, I accept it, sign, and send it back, and you can do it via the IRS or directly. Corporations discharge debt instruments, but people can pay with asset instruments instead. Bail notices, which in parentheses it says security required for a release. Okay, so if you have to post bail. So the bail notices state, pay by check or money order. Do not send cash. HJR 192 makes it against public policy to pay a debt with debt instruments, which is what cash is. Therefore, one's order for credit, one's bill, needs to be accepted and returned to the presenter directly or via the IRS. HJR 192 removes the debtor's obligation to pay a debt, making it against public policy to pay a debt with a debt. FRNs are instruments of debt. We only have to discharge the debt dollar for dollar with our credit, the only credit that there is, by exchanging the bill for the bond. Okay, the bond that represents our credit exemption. Exchanging a past liability for a future liability by passing over the present liability of the note. There is no money with which to credit an account. Our commercial energy is the credit that the industrial society, the public, needs to adjust their ledgers. They need our endorsement as evidence of our having discharged the charge for them to be able to close the account. Otherwise, they have an aging accounts receivable that they cannot close without our endorsement, our acknowledgement that public benefits were provided and received in the private domain. As the operator of the account, they need to charge us with their commercial energy so we can charge the commercial energy back to them and therefore ground the account by exchanging the energy, the tax, back to the presenter directly or via the IRS. Debt must be discharged dollar for dollar, just as sin must be confessed, they use, and repented of once it occurs. As soon as we realize that sin has occurred, we must acknowledge and be forgiven for that sin, or we stand in default. Well, at least they recognize that you have to be forgiven. The moment that a debt exists, it must be written off to balance the account. We have to accept the charge to allow the maker to close the account through our name. And there's a maxim that you may have heard: my name is my bond, or my word is my bond. In other words, my signature represents the bond. Our acceptance and endorsement zeroes the account by grounding the charge back to whence it came and closes its delinquently held open account. Okay, let me read that again. Our acceptance and endorsement zeroes the account by grounding the charge back to whence it came and closes its delinquently held open account. I just wanted to let you know, again, I can't remember if I told you, but I think I did. I had a gentleman who I met through the group that I've been figuring this out, and he's like, okay, can I ask you some questions? How did you get your acceptance and your coupon payment accepted by the IRS? So I showed him exactly what I did. And then he said, okay, and then I endorse it and send it in. And I said, yes. That was before October of last year. And just last week, or just the end of last week, he got his debt extinguished at the IRS, plus he got a small refund check as well. So it is real, okay? It is real. The thing is that you have to do it properly. And my initial one wasn't done properly, but they accepted it anyway. And because they really weren't familiar with proper procedures. This gentleman, I confirmed that he did sign the back of it. He did endorse the back of the coupon money order that he made. So you fill it out on the front and you write money order, pay to the U.S. Treasury, the amount, and then whatever you need to include your personal information, the straw man's personal information, and then you sign the endorse the back. It needs both information and sign on the back. Then it works. Okay, and I'm about to send in my second attempt at this by signing the back. All the other attempts, I didn't sign the back, and they haven't worked. Endorsing the back. Okay. We can't write off the debt without charging it back to the origin from whence it came, dust to dust, because we do not hold the deficient account. Our fiduciary agent, the presenter, okay, let me read that. Our fiduciary agent. Okay, so a fiduciary is one who is responsible for the funds or the monies. So it's the presenter. So the presenter at some point gave us or requested our Social Security number, the Social Security number that is our straw man's. And once you give it to them, they become your fiduciary agent. And the presenter, when they send you the bill, They hold the count, so we must provide him with a tax return by sending him the credit of our acceptance directly to him or via the IRS, so he can write off our liability via his Internal Revenue Service, the bookkeeper of his firm. Okay, now remember, all corporations are created by the state. Their bookkeeper is the IRS. Okay, the IRS will give them the credit, will offset. We do not need to make a payment that is acceptable to the claimant. That was another interesting thing on that letter that I received from that finance company. Said to me that we accept only these forms of payment. No, sorry, but you can't do that. We accept for value the credit and return it to the presenter via the IRS. And that's why I say sometimes it's better just to go through the IRS to do it. All right, it may take longer, but it will be less conflicting. We accept for value the credit and return it to the presenter via the IRS. We endorse and return his offer to the straw man to the IRS. We endorse and return his offer to the straw man to the IRS. So the IRS is here. The document is the collateral itself, not what the paper represents. The property goes with the paper, but it cannot be used as a method of payment under public policy, which is grace. Many people think that when our money was taken away from society, that the people became slaves to the New World Order or the One World Government. But this is not true unless they voluntarily choose for it to be so. The people were freed instead. We were freed from every obligation that the public society could create. We were freed from any obligation that we could incur because we cannot pay a debt with a debt. There is no money with which to pay. Public policy is the super sedes bond, the bond that supersedes all other bonds, because it bypasses or passes over our inability to pay. And we're not enabled because we don't work or we're lazy. It's because they took our ability to pay away when they took the gold and silver. Again, that was what was decided in this country as the form of payment or settlement or barter. Public policy is the more perfect contract because it operates on grace to pay our debts after we have done all that we could. We do as much as we can, then mercy and grace kick in, being our exemption that makes the payment for us so long as we accept full responsibility for the charge, so long as we accept the redemption offered by Deum Jesum Christum. All right. That's where I'm going to stop there today. And it looks like we have maybe one more chapter to go. And then I will show you, maybe two more. All right. We're getting there, though. But if you have any questions, see if you can figure them out for yourself first, and then give me an email. And I hope everybody's well. Let's begin Mass. And again, I hope that we can get this figured out amongst all of our friends and family here soon, and we can get this process implemented so that you can get some relief, so that you can focus more on your health and your faith. And again, with what's transpiring in the world, it appears as if they want to, when I say they, I mean the powers that are in charge of the government right now, like Trump and others, those behind him, let's just put it that way, they are recognizing that we have discovered the remedy, and they want to shut that down as soon as possible. And it appears that that is what's happening. They're trying to cause this to be stopped somehow, and I don't know how. But we'll see. It could very well be a good thing. At the same time, I just don't know. Deum vobiscum et quoque epote. Oremus. O most holy Trinity, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one divine family, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum Hac Immaculatum Hostium, quam ego indignius famulos tuus offenditi Deum meum vivum et verum, pro innumerabilibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligencies meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus, et pro omnibus fidelibus catholicorum vivis atque et functis ut mihi editis proficietat salutem. Deum qui cumulae substantia dignitatem mirabilis condidis et mirabilis reformaste de nobis spiritus et vinum mysterium, eis divinitatis esse consortis communitatis nostrae, fieri notus est pater Deum Iesum Christum Filium, qui tecum vivit et regnat, in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum de peccantis clementiam ut spectu divinae maestatis tuae, pro nostra totius mundus salute, cum odore suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito suscipiam rota Deum Iesum Christum et sequiet sacrificium nostrum et spectu tu horieu placiat tibi Deum matronam nostre Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Veni sanctificator, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et sanctificite blata prosu quando et expere hoc sacrificium tuo sanctum nomini praeparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas concoblationem contivi efferimus a memoriam passionis, resurrectionis et descensionis Deum Iesum Christum, et in honorum Deum matronam nostre et Papa Peter Sanctorum et Istorum et omnium Sanctorum, ut illis proficiet ad honorem nobis autem ad salutem, et ili pro nobis interceded et in aeterno caelis, quorum memoriam agimus in telis per innum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate ut meam equestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat op Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipia Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manibus tuis et laudam et gloriam nominis sui, ad utilitatem quoque nostrum totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque pote, sursum corda habemus a Deum, gratias agamus Deum nostrum, linium et justum est. Dei vito clementissime mater et pater de Deum matronum nostrae, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum per Deum Iesum Christum Filium tuum Deum nostrae, supplices rogamus et petimus, uti accepta habeas, et sanctificas haec sanctam sacrificium illibata, in primis quae tibi efferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam catholicam, quam pacificari custodiri ad honori et regere dineris toto orbiterarum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famulorum famorum Catholicorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We especially pray for Katie Gage, R.M., Neil and Earl Lively, Robert Dosco, Jr. and Sr., Maria Josephina Mose, Letitia, Mindy, Mark Jr., Clarette, Henry, Barbara and Benedict Santa Croce, Robert Santa Croce, Mr. Nobody, Luis Antonio Cantu, the Cantu and Duarte families, McLarnon family and family, Sarah and Becky, Jenna, Lena, Lori, Aaron and family, Maria and the Lineweber family, the Dasco, Nye, Tafor, Began, Wolf, and Kane families, and Alex Tafor. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantis Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, child abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value medium of exchange with no usury. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society. We ask for a reversal of the feminist ideology and a return to godly femininity. We ask for the conversion of all sinners trapped in a state of mortal sin. And for all these other intentions, we ask that the Most Holy Trinity's divine will be accomplished. Et omnium circumstantiam quorum tibi fides cognitas not devotio pro quibus tibi afferemus, varque tibi affrontox sacrificium laudis proces visque omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suarum prospe salutis et egulamitatis suae, tibi crederunt vota sua aeterno Deum vivo et vero, communicantes et mammono honorantes in primis gloriosae, semper Deum matronam nostra et Deum Iesum Christum, et beatorum martyrium torum Papa Sancta Peter et Sancti Luci et Sancti Jacinta et Sancti Francisco et Sancto Juan Diego, et omnem sanctorum tuorum quorum meritis praecibus quae cancedas, ut in omnibus protectiones tuae muniam rexidio periendum Christum Deum nostrum, quam oblatione de Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibum, consecratum acceptablem quae feceri dignitis ut nobis corpum, et sanguim fiat didictissimi filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam patritor cepit panem in sanctus ac honorabilis manus suas, et derivatis oculis in calamate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit, frege dedique luminis sui dicens accipit et mandocat ex hoc omnis. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simili modo postquam ceremoniae est accipienserum preclarum calicem in sanctus ac honorabilis manus suas item tibi gratias agens, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecravit dedique luminis sui dicens accipit et vivite ex eo omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissione peccatorum, haecut est cum feceritis in memora faciatis. Unde et memores Deum nos servituis, sed plebs tua sancta justum Christum filium tuum Deum nostrae, tam beata passionis nec non et ben feris resurrectionis, sed et in caelos gloriosa ascensionis, offerimus preclare maestati tui et tuis donis actatis, supra quae propitio ac sereno vultur respicieri digneris. Supplices te rogamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ibi hec preferite manus tuum, ut quod, ex hoc autaris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem sincerimus, omni sanctificatione caelestia gratia Dei per amor per Deum Christum Deum nostrae. We pray for those who have died. We especially pray for Margaret Bentz, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibum in Christum quiscentibum locum refigerii lucis et pacis ut ondergeas deprecamur periendum Christum Deum nostrum, perquem hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bona creas, sanctificas, vivicas, consecratis et praestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso est tibi Deum Materum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Deum, matronam nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Sanctam tuum in mulieribus, Deum matronam nostrae, materam Deum Iesum Christum, ora pro nobis peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quaesimus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum ab omnibus malis, praeteritis, praesentibus et futuris, et intercedente beata gloriosa semper Deum matronam nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis da propicis pacem in diebus nostris, ut ope misericordiae tuae aduiti et peccato, simus semper liberi et ab omni perturbationis seculi. Periendum Deum nostrum Iesum Christum filium tuum Deum nostrum, qui tegum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum sit semper vobiscum et quoque apud te. Haec mixtio et consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum fiat excipientibus nobis in ad salutem aeternam. Pax tecum et quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum matronam nostrae, quaprante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuam unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinum, tuum ab omnibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis males, et fac me tui semper inharare mandatis, et a te numquam separari pernitas, qui cum eodem Deum matronam nostrae, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum vivis et regnam aeternam. Perceptio corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego indinius sumere praesum non mihi proveniat, in judicium condemnationem, sed pro tu pietate prosit, mihi ad tutamentum mentis et corporis, et ad me delam, percipiendam qui vivis et reinas cum Deum matronam nostrae, in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. In panem celestem accipiem et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum matronam nostrum non sundinius, ut et subtetum eis in tante di quibus naveranum mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sundinius, ut et subtetum eis in tante di quibus naveranum mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sundinius, ut et subtetum eis in tante di quibus naveranum mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quid virtubum Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus quae virtubut mihi, calicem saetatis accipiem et nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo. Laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostrae et ab inimicis meis avos ero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quod ore subsumus Deum Iesum Christum pidem et capiam et immunum et parafiat nobis remedium sempiternum. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum quod somsi sanguis quam petare heriat, visceribus meis appraesta ut in me non remaniat, scelera macula quem pura et sancta reficerum sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quoque pote, oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids, we beseech thee, O most holy Trinity, that thou mayest free them from all sins, and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one divine family, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quoque pote, e de missa est. Deum gratia. Placia tibi sancta Trinitam obsequium suffitutis mea et praesta ut sacrificim coroculis tuae maestatis in illus auctoditibus et acceptable, nique et omnibus proquibus idut auctolis siti miserante puricabile per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum. Deum Matronam Nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. O most holy Trinity, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most holy Trinity, I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of Deum Iesum Christum present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended. And through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and the immaculate heart of Dea Matronam Nostrae, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Dei Matronam Nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. I wanted to thank Catholic Warrior for posting the books that I've been reading and have been studying with regards to money. They are posted at the Daily Latin Mass page on the website, ourladyisgod.com. Please go and download them and utilize them, and I'm here to help you and guide you through as best I can. Again, I'm not selling anything. It's for educational purposes only, but thank you for your help, your donations, etc. And good day, Greg. How are you? Please go and sanctify all those who you meet, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.